I believe in me.
I believe in me.
I believe in you.
I believe in you.
Stand strong. You are powerful.
Stand strong. You are inspiring.
We are fighters. We are ambitious.
We are extraordinary. We are conquerors. Simply straight talk, our voices will be heard.
This is Simply Straight Talk. Tune in now, you don't want to miss out. Real conversation, plenty motivation. Keep you thinking and still entertaining. Yeah, I know that you'll enjoy the Midos Free. Your voice is your choice. Hosted by Reggie B, but you already know. And you gotta check them out and how we roll. Hey, ain't nothing off the table. Give it to you straight. Changing your mindset, talking past mistakes. You ain't gotta wait, time to take off. This is Simply Straight Talk.
I'm Melissa, and this is the Simply Straight Talk podcast, where we engage in solution-based conversations with tips on how to overcome and move past the challenges and struggles we face in life. So join in, and let's show the world you got what it takes. It's showtime. Let's hop on this train of motivation.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Simply Straight Talk podcast. Listen, today we want to talk about passport brothers, and we also want to talk about independent women, because I think the two go in hand. Because right now, there is a whole lot going on between the two. And it's just getting crazy because it's like, first of all, let me explain what passport brothers are, in case you don't know, passport men. So basically, that's a new sort of label that has been given to men who have decided that they're no longer going to date women from the Western world. Speaking primarily UK, America, and these are men who go into other countries like Brazil, Thailand, Philippines, Mexico. They're going outside of the United States to meet other women. You know what I'm saying? Because they just feel like they got better options. But this has created some problems. And of course, anytime a certain group of people feel like we're not the top pick, especially when it comes between genders, men and women, all of a sudden fingers start pointing and people start pointing the blame. Independent women, we got women now who are saying we don't need men. We can do it on our own. We make our own money. We're more educated. We don't need you to do things. We don't need you to provide for us. We don't need you to take care of us. Now, a lot of the independent women are saying this, but then they're turning around and bashing the men who are saying, well, if you don't need us, we'll just step outside of the United States and meet a woman who feels like she does. So it's led to this whole thing of where there's sort of this battle. Like now we have some women saying, hey, I understand why some men are actually leaving the country, going to meet other women based on the behavior of some women from the Western worlds. Then we got the women who are saying, well, you know what? They just weak men. They just want a woman they can control. They want a woman that they can tell what to do, but they can't handle a real woman. They want somebody they can go over there, party and sleep around with and won't say nothing. First off, you can't label and categorize an entire gender. Okay, you got to understand. There are some women who are really nice, who really do want a good relationship. All women who feel like, yes, I make my own money, I can be responsible for my own bills, doesn't mean that they are sort of this hard masculine mentality. They don't always carry that. So it's not all women, but it's quite a few. And I would actually say I think it's more so about 60% do have that mentality, possibly 70. It's just a growing thing, man, because you see it on social media. You see it portrayed in the movies. You see it portrayed by some of the celebrities out right now who are actually promoting this. So it's just creating this big conundrum between men and women to where men and women from America and the UK are just sort of kind of like, we don't want to fool with each other. But then again, it's sort of contradicting themselves because now they're sort of turning around and attacking each other because of the decision that the other person has made. Now, let's dive into the whole thing about passport men, okay? Well, let's get into the independent women first. Let's do that. The independent women has come about. Now, this is just my opinion, because I think right now it's more society sort of goes along with the trends. Like whatever the hot topic is, whatever the hot trend is, that's what society seems to go along with. And after all of these things start coming out about women, then all of a sudden, we have the whole independent women train going. And I personally don't believe that you have to run over others just to empower yourself. I don't believe that. There has to be a balance in there. But a lot of the women who feel they're independent feel like they don't need a man. And because they sort of have adopted that mentality, it's created some issues when it comes to relationships, because these are women who are saying, I'm independent, I don't need a man, I can do things on my own, which that is all well and good. I see nothing wrong with that, nothing. Because I heard one person ask, do men prefer women they can groom over women who make money and are independent and appear to have themselves all together? And I think it really gets into attitude. I think that's what it really is. It's attitude. It's one thing to date somebody. Like, here's the thing. You date a woman. She has a good career. She's making more money. The problem comes when, I'm not talking about trifling men who don't want to work, who don't want to do anything. I'm talking about she's got a good man. He just doesn't make the money she makes. So let's say she's a doctor. Okay, so she can afford to fly, to Puerto Rico every weekend, or she can afford to fly to the UK, or afford to go to Canada. She can take weekend getaways. It don't hit her that hard. But say she has a really good guy. He's a nice guy, but he's not bringing in the same bank. So whereas she may be able to do things every weekend on the higher end, he may have to plan a little bit. So for him, it may be like once a month. Okay, once a month. Now, this is somebody I'm talking about that's working, that's handling their business. So maybe once or twice a month, he can do things, but he just can't do things on the more extravagant end. Now, some women say, oh, that's not a problem. I can deal with that. I can handle that. We hear women say that, but we don't see women that follow through with that. So let's just keep it real now. Let's be honest. Let's keep it real. So the issue becomes, how does she treat him? Because some women will say, well, he's no longer a decision maker. He's no longer the head of the house because I'm in charge. I'm making the money. And I'm not talking about a guy that's financially irresponsible. I'm talking about a guy who really does have his stuff together. He thinks things out. He's business oriented. He's focused on the household, on the relationship, but he just doesn't bring the money in the way you do, because his job may be $50,000 or $60,000 a year, whereas your job may be $120,000, $130,000 a year. So that's a nice little gap. So you got a good man, but you just don't have a man that's bringing in the income that you're bringing in. So some women would say he can't be the head of the household. He can't be the decision maker because I'm carrying the bulk of the financial responsibilities of the relationship. That creates a problem. Now, when we get to the passport brothers or the passport men, whatever you want to call it, some men, it's been said now, and let's keep it real, men, just like I kept it real with the women, let's keep it real with the men. Some men do go overseas to have fun. That's the purpose of them going to different countries, just to have fun. I don't deny that. But we also can't deny that there are men who are looking for a real relationship to where they're not going to have the excess stress of trying to figure out how to make $200,000 within a year. just to keep somebody happy, because that's what the relationship is based on, your financial status. And it's also something that a lot of men feel like they're not getting right now, or what they're not seeing. Let's just say, I'm going to say they're not seeing, is the femininity. Because in the Western world, femininity is a sign of weakness. But to a man, it's a sign of a woman being a woman. It makes us want to do more. It makes us want to help more. It makes us want to be that protector and provider. A woman can still make that $120,000 a year and still be feminine. It doesn't mean that she's weak, but some women have come to say that women who from other countries are weak. And that's why men from America and UK might be going to get these other women, because they're weak-minded and they're submissive. Submissive simply means to come into agreement. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're bowing down, folding their laundry. But you got to understand, in some cultures, that's what the women do for their man. But keep in mind, those men are also making sure that the household is good. Because there was one video that came out a while ago where this guy was talking about his Thai wife, who's from Thailand. And as he was talking about her, he was showing the things that she does. Like when he's working on his computer, he's working on this business, she might bring him fruit. She makes sure he eats good. She takes care of his laundry, folds his clothes. She takes care of him. But in return, he is taking care of her. And the problem comes here is women say, well, if men here would do the same thing for us, we would take care of them like that. First of all, let's be honest. We keeping this 100 on both sides. Most modern women are not going to be folding clothes. They are not going to be fixing food or anything like that to that level. They're just not. They're not. Let's just be honest. Let's just keep it 100. They're not going to do that. They're not. Because the thing about it is, you have women who come from a culture to where living in an apartment is okay, where you don't have to have the excess luxuries. Where if you're talking about modern women from the Western world, you're talking about an apartment is not good enough. You need a 3 to 5 bedroom house, 2 bathrooms, 16 kitchens. You need 3 cars and a 4-car garage. And that's just a difference. So I think the reason that some men, not all now, some have elected to try to find a relationship in other countries is they are looking for that feminine woman with some of the traditions, that does maintain those traditions. And it's not about somebody they can control or tell what to do. It's the respect. And I'm pretty sure, and I know for a fact, that women want the same thing. Women like a man that's in charge but not controlling. They like a man who can provide, who can protect. But there's so much more to a relationship than that. Yes, those are key elements of a relationship, but the emotional well-being, I think, is the part that's left out here in the United States. That's what's left out. Here, when you date here, the emotional well-being is not a factor. And I think a lot of people, especially like the passport men, are getting more emotional support overseas than they're getting here in the United States. But I take into consideration the fact too that there's a struggle on both sides. When you got two people, and let's take a black man and a black woman. And for years, there has been a struggle for black men who have wanted to give their wives the things they have seen other groups been able to give their wives. So there's been that race to get that money and get that success to do that. Well, it didn't come fast enough. So a lot of black women have gotten out and gotten it on their own. And they're now saying, well, I had to do it myself because you couldn't do it. Well, now that's that struggle. Because now it's like, okay, yes, you may have had some opposition, but as a woman, I came in with opposition. But think about what the black man had to go through while he was out there in them streets. And some black women went through some stuff too. I'm not denying that. But we have to look at the cultural impact and the history that has led up to why there are issues and why there are certain beliefs. I mean, even things that families, and this is not just all black, this is like all across, races of all across the world have had to deal with their cultural impact. Like culturally, what is the expectation that your family put on you? Did you have a supportive family? You know, was the mother, did you see a mother who was overbearing and contentious in the way she dealt with her husband, or a father who was the same way with the wife? And maybe you adopted that mentality and now you're understanding that was the wrong mentality. That's not what you wanted. So there are different things that play a part into why people move the way they move in life when it comes to relationships. But I got to say this, I think that when we talk about what men prefer, that's going to be an individual thing. So you can't ask a question of what do men prefer when it comes to a woman. Do they want someone that can groom, or do they want someone who makes money, independent, and appears to have it together? Because just like women have their own individual ideas and perceptions of what they want in a man, you heard what I said, a man, men have what their own ideas and perception of what they want to see and have in a woman. So it's gonna vary. It's gonna be different. You got some guys who would like that woman who's just in control, makes the decisions. They like that little bit of fight. But then you're gonna have some men who are like, listen, I like a little bit more balance where we work together. We're a team. There is no controlling factor. But always that respect has to come in, as far as if you want me to see you as a woman and treat you as a woman, then you have to be proud of being a woman. You don't have to become a man, because then I'm going to see you as a man. And I think that's where a lot of the confusion is coming in. And even men now, like men, you know, women want to see a man be a man. And it don't mean you got to come in all bulked up, chest out. It's just be confident. They want to see honor. They want to see respect, how you talk to them, how you greet them. But then again, keep in mind, the approach is different. How you approach one woman may not work for how you approach another woman. There's so many things that come into this. But then again, when it goes wrong, men and women of all races and gender, well, men and women's gender, but men and women seem to have this thing to where they want to point the finger and blame the other. It's your fault. It's your fault women go through this. It's your fault men go through this. When are you going to accept the fact that you just made poor decisions in your relationships? And you got to be honest about who you are. You know, if you're saying that you don't want to date American women because of this, what you have experienced, okay, I respect that. That's your experience. But don't categorize all women in that nature. And it's the same thing. You know, women, don't categorize all men. So you can't get mad at anybody, men, you know, men or women. You cannot get mad at the other person because they have decided that they can't find what they want here in the United States or in the UK, and they decide to broaden their scope. Because everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to find that person that makes them happy. Now, keep in mind, I'm not talking about the men out here who just trying to dog everything. And I'm not talking about the women out here who just trying to, you know, dominate. I'm trying to keep it respectful. I'm not talking about the women out here who's out here thoughting either. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the men and women who are working, whether it be $100,000 and $120,000 a year job or a $50,000 a year job. However that man and woman is doing it, they're good people. They just want to find a good relationship. But what do you do when you're just not having any luck? I mean, think about it. Everybody has urges. Keep it 100. Everybody has urges and physical needs. Everybody has emotional needs. I think one of the coolest things is when you walk inside of a store and you see a couple, like, put it like this. Like today, I went out to eat and I saw this woman just really leaning back on the guy behind her. Clearly, it was her boyfriend or husband. But the thing about it is that comfort level that she felt, that she could just lean back and she can just relax. And the fact that he had that sense of pride that, yeah, she's so comfortable that she's leaning into me. There's a comfort level there. There's a sense of pride there. There's a sense of respect. So I think that's the thing that sometimes we simply ignore. Like, those things do matter in a relationship. But like I said, man, I think it's just the mental well-being of a man has to feel like a man. And from what I've heard from other women, they want to be made to feel like a woman. But you can't send a message that in order for you to feel like a woman, it means that you have to buy me everything I want. I had to have a lavish lifestyle. I got to live these fake lives like them fake Kardashians. I have to be like that. You have to treat me like that. Be realistic about what you're looking for and what your expectations are. You can't get mad at people because sometimes men and women both have to look at themselves. Men got to look and say, okay, so if I'm decided I'm going to another country to meet somebody, what is my reason that I can't find what I'm looking for here? Why is it that I'm finding it there? And women, you got to ask, what are men looking for there? Am I pushing them away? Me personally, just talking about you personally. And if you know somebody who's taking that trip to go meet somebody, just stop and ask, like, you know, what are you getting that's different? Because women, y'all know if y'all talking to guys, if that guy's traveling because he's looking to find somebody versus somebody out here looking just to, you know, sow their wild oats just to say. But the thing about it is, you got to understand each other's perspective. Because sometimes men want a softer woman, not soft in the fact that she's going to be ran over or she's going to let somebody do whatever they do and she don't care, have no respect for herself. No, they just want a softer woman. Like, if a guy's with a woman, he don't want to feel like I'm talking to one of the guys. It don't mean you got to talk down or dumb yourself down, but just be a woman. You're a woman. Just be a woman. Be proud of that. That's empowerment in itself. Like, to just my thing is a good conversation. Like, just being able to have a good conversation. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. But to say that all women in other countries are weak and submissive and you can just run over them, come on, we need to stop that because that is not the truth. That is not the truth at all. And to say that all men are running over there just to sleep with women, no, that is not the truth either. Are there some men who may be looking just to get out and relieve themselves? Yeah. Are there good women who's looking for a good man? Yes, there is. It sure is. Are there women out here who are scamming and playing games with men? Yes, it is. The problem is when that good man meets that bad woman who's out here playing games and he goes through like 2, 3, or 4 of them. At that point, he's like done. Like, I'm over it. He's going to start broadening his scope. And I can understand the fact, too, that when you got women, good women now, the good women who have just made choices and the choices was like, oh, it was a bad choice. It was a bad choice. It was a bad choice. Just like the man did. It was a bad choice. And now they sort of harden themselves. Because one thing I keep hearing people say is, I'm going to date like a man. What does that mean? What does dating like a man mean? Somebody please tell me, what is dating like a man? It irks me when I hear that being said because you're generalizing as a way to make an excuse for you to behave in a manner where you can be sexually active in a way that's very promiscuous and blame it on men. No. You got to hold yourself accountable. You got to hold yourself accountable. And you got to step back to stop and think like, okay, if I keep meeting these type of men or these type of women, what is it about me that's attracting that? And the good men, the ones who I know are good, why won't they come to me? Why can't I get them to want to sink their teeth into me? And it's the same thing for men. Like if you keep attracting a certain type of woman that's all about money, what are you doing? Are you out there trying to just like flashing money? Are you playing like you Mr. Big Dog, like you got $1 million in the bank and you don't? Are you trying to just really show off? And then when that latches onto you, you mad about it because it's not who you thought it was, or she's not what you thought she was, as far as being in a relationship. Because sometimes we got to look at our own actions. Like, what about us? What are we doing? What signals am I sending out that's attracting the wrong? And why is the good pushing back from me? Is it my social media? Is it my attitude? Do I talk all about how I gotta have this, I gotta have that? They gotta do this, they gotta do that. A lot of y'all out here following these Cardi B's and I don't know what's her husband name? Whatever is her husband name from the Migos. You know, you guys are following these people, and the problem is they're not even happy in their own relationships. They got their own issues. So why you listening to them? Why are you following these people, these celebrities, thinking that I want this, I want that? And half of them don't even want what they got. People, we're going to be the next Jay-Z and Beyonce. Didn't Jay-Z and Beyonce have an issue with cheating? I want to be the next Carter B and whatever his name is. How many times they done broke up? Stop following these people and make your own decisions. Determine who you are and what you really need. Figure out what signals are you sending out. What's the vibe around you when you go out to meet somebody or somebody approaching you? What's the vibe? I mean, you got to think about it now. Let's just keep it 100. You got to think about what you're doing and what you're saying and stop blaming the other one. Stop blaming men for who want to go and find love someplace else. And man, we got to stop blaming women for when we have bad relationships. You're making bad choices, but nobody wants to be accountable for their choices. Nobody wants to be accountable. Hey, y'all, that's it for today's show. Yeah, I had to cut a little short, but I hope you enjoyed it. Drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, man, on the passport thing, the independent woman. What's y'all thought about it? Holler at your boy and let me know.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Simply Straight Talk podcast. Remember that you can join our email list at simplystraighttalk.com for more fun solution-based conversations. From the Simply Straight Talk crew, stay positive and we'll see you next week.